picture of some hyaline cartilage. And so I want you to think of it as the hyaline cartilage, which was made by chondrocytes. Chondrocytes make cartilage. Some of you missed that on your last test. So chondrocytes, osteocytes are bone, chondrocytes are cartilage. So all the blue that you're seeing, we've got is hyaline cartilage. So we've got some hyaline cartilage guys in here. I'll just go ahead and put, so these are chondrocytes. And this specifically is hyaline cartilage. Okay. And so it's kind of like a blueprint, and I like the fact that I stole this image and it's blue because hyaline cartilage basically is making a blueprint for your bones. And so your bone matrix is going to lay itself down on this. And so what happens, and I'm just going to kind of give you the short and condensed version of it. I'm just going to erase that off of there. So my blue guys are all there, and they're making cartilage, and they're all just chilling out. And what happens, let's see what color I want to do. I don't know. I guess I can do brown. I'm going to do brown for like bone. Some of these mesenchyme cells that have made these chondrocytes actually start laying down some bone. And so what we're getting here is some bone forming here. So these are some osteocytes, or we could say even osteoblasts if you want to go there. So I just want you to know that bone. Notice where it's forming. It's forming here on the diaphysis here. So forming the diaphysis here, we're starting to get some bone going on in here. Well, chondrocytes are avascular. Avascular means no blood supply. There's no blood to them. So the way they get their nutrients is through diffusion. So they get their nutrients, so their food, it's going to diffuse. So food, nutrients, I'm just saying food, it's not really food, but so getting it through diffusion through there. Well, these guys up here are able to get that pretty well, but this bone matrix that has just formed right there, which this is called a bony collar. This bony collar forms on this outside, and all of a sudden, these chondrocytes in the middle, see if I can get another blue guy. So these guys here in the middle, they're not going to get any food. And so if they don't get any food, they're going to start to die. And as they start to die, and that's what's happening because they're not getting food because this bony collar has formed here. They don't get any food, and they start to die. But before they die, they send out a SOS, like a help message, like, help, we're dying in here. Help, 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 help. We are dying, and they are dying. And as they're crying out for help, we will get a blood vessel that will come in and try to help. So there's something called a periosteal bud, which is basically a nutrient artery that will bust through. It'll come for the rescue, and it'll bust through there to feed. I'm going to see if I can make it work like that. It's going to come through there to feed and send help to these dying chondrocytes. The only problem with that is those guys are dying, and what's happening along the way is we've got in our blood is not only our nutrients, but we've got some osteoblasts that are coming in. We actually have some osteoclasts that are coming in, the blood supply. And as they come in, those osteoblasts, they're not going to help the chondrocytes. They're going to, these guys are now dead because unfortunately the blood supply didn't get there soon enough. So all these blue guys have died, and the osteoblasts start blasting out bone. And what the osteoclasts do is they start clearing up. Let's see if I can color. I don't know if I can make that clear. Let's see what I can do. They start clearing up these. No, that's not going to work. Let's see if I do it this way. Make it pretty. They start clearing up this middle area here. So the clasts are clearing up those dead guys. Look at that's going on in there. All these guys are going away, clearing this out. And then we've got the blast over here blasting. Oh, no, I didn't go back to black. Brown. They're out here making some bone. So this is making the medullary cavity. It's basically that hollow part in there. That blood supply will end up in there. Bone marrow will form and all that stuff. And so that's why we get that hollowed out, why we get compact bone here to the side. And so this will happen. So we get that bone formation around the edges here. That happens here, and then the same thing happens on the ends here. We're going to get a hollowing out up there as well. So we're going to see it happen here and here, which is why we have that marrow there. You're going to see the periosteal bud come through. This is called secondary ossification that's happening at the epiphyseal ends there. But I would like you to notice that the hyaline cartilage is left right there, and then we've got some hyaline cartilage left around here. And so there's some residual hyaline cartilage, and that's important. So that's the gist of what's going on there. I know you might not have understood all that. There I go, clicking the wrong button again. So this little picture, I think, draws it much better than me. So see if you can follow along here. So the first thing happened is we get this bony collar. And so that was that bone going on. So think about you, if you had a bony collar on, you would probably maybe die there. So bony collar form, the chondrocytes in the middle start to die. They start to die out here, so we're starting to see this dead area here. They send out a SOS, and then we get that periosteal bud that breaks through to send in the nutrients. Unfortunately, they're sending it in too late, and coming in with it is going to be some osteoblasts and osteocytes, osteoblasts and osteoblasts and osteoclasts. The blasts build up the bone matrix. The class hollows out the center and cleans up those dead chondrocytes. It's like, yeah, let's clean up all this dead stuff here. And then we get the same thing happening at the ends. We repeat. That's that secondary ossification going on. So the very first thing that happens is called hypertrophonification. Hypertrophonification. That's just the hyaline cartilage growing. So it's making that little blueprint. First step. Okay. Second step is we're getting calcification. We're getting hardening of the hyaline cartilage matrix around the diaphysis. This is the bony collar that we've got going on here. I need to not be so big in my thing. Bony collar. So the bony collar goes around that diaphysis, and then all of a sudden we start to see the chondrocytes die, which is called cavitation, which is making that cavity. As they die, then we get that periosteal bud breaks through, and that brings in the osteoclasts and osteoblasts to bring in the nutrients for those cells that are dying. Unfortunately, they arrive too late, but the osteoclasts and osteoblasts don't care. They start breaking down bone, and the clasts start cleaning up. And then this exact same process happens at the epiphyseal ends or epiphysis of the bone there. So this is how your long bones were made. Whew, that's quite a story there, isn't it? So a little bit challenging, but you can do it.